I set up my company 2009. I had the idea in late 2008, and it was for two reasons. One was, which I think a lot of businesses start from, which is a simple frustration with a lack of what you specifically want. So, as the infamous story goes, Dior, Marion Newman at Dior, she's a famous nail technician, has always done a double French, which is like a plain nail with a white tip and a white half moon. That's been going for a long time. It's like a really classic design. And I took that picture to my local nail salon and said, can you do this? And the stress to communicate it, for them to understand it, for them to get the cultural relevance, for them to do it to my specifications was just so long that when I got home, I remember being like, I'm just going to open my own nail salon, this is ridiculous. Because I always got my nails done and my crew always got our nails done, it was like a big thing. And then secondly, if you remember, I'm sure everyone does, November, December 2008 was when the crash happened and everybody was worried about their job security. At the time, I was a stylist and brand consultant, and I was like an up-and-coming stylist. Like, I had really good work and really good clients, and I had made really good money. But I was still aware that I was like not at that kind of high level of stylist where I would be like called upon naturally to continue to do the work. I knew that I was competing with a few other like cool stylists at the time, and I was thinking, come January or February, where I usually would have my next wave of work, it might not come, so what can I do to basically support myself? So yeah, frustration, passion, and financial independence.
And did you have any major problems when you were first starting out?
The fact that I'd never opened a shop before.
So how did you deal with that?
I dealt with the fact that I'd never opened a shop before in the way that I think a lot of women deal with problems, which is by completely educating themselves about it and immersing themselves in it. So my boyfriend at the time was just getting annoyed because I was constantly reading, like, there weren't many nail blogs at the time. In fact, there were pretty much 8 compared to now where there's like an infinite amount of nail blogs. I'd be reading all these nail blogs, nail care, I did a nail course, I like read all these manuals, everything to do with nails. I became fully obsessed with it. And I mean, a customer-facing business is just about personable relations to make it successful, and I had those. So, but I mean, there were loads of hurdles, I just got on with it. Like, I didn't realise you had to have a licence to open a nail salon. So when I had to apply to the council for a licence, and it's Hackney Council, and it took 4 months, I did not expect that at all. So I just got around it by only performing nail art, because the licence is for manicures. I rented out the salon space to generate money while we weren't making full amount of money. I had a jumble sale. I did everything to keep it going until we had our licence. I'll never forget when we finally got it, we were like, yay. So yeah.
And when you finally did get that licence, was there any money problems or anything that you kind of had to go out and get a loan or be funded by somebody else?
Do you know what? I never got a loan, and it's not, I hate filling out forms and I hate asking people for money. I know these things are like really silly, because I think my business would be a lot more like bigger now if I'd probably applied for funding, but I just didn't see the point. Firstly, and the women in this room will know that, I didn't enjoy having to explain to a middle-aged old man why nails was cool and sellable, because I knew it would be. Like, we completely changed culture, we completely changed nail trends. Like, nails is a thing now in a way they weren't before. And I didn't, like, every time I told someone, like, you know, like, from my kind of community, they got it. Anytime I went to a suit, they'd be like, need to see the profit and loss or whatever, how's this going to make money? And I just was like, well, I hate financial stuff, and, you know, I'm not. The less money you have, the less I have to deal with. So I lent £17,000 from a friend who had just inherited the money from her grandfather. She was going to invest it in this account, and the return she was going to get was something like 6 or 7%. So I said, I'll give her 9. So I said, I'll pay it all back in a year with 9%. She was like, okay, fine. She went to India for 4 months, so she didn't have any plans with the money. So I did that, and I paid her back probably 6 months later than planned, but in full. I used my own money because I still kept styling and brand consulting, and everyone knows what it's like to juggle 2 jobs at the same time until you make the big leap to actually go and do your business full time. And then I had a bank loan, overdraft, I think. First £5,000, I extended it to 10,000 when we did a pop-up in Ireland to do the fixtures, and that's it. And it's like, it's good because 5 years on, I own my business 100%. I have investors knocking down the door because I've spent the time not worrying about how I'm going to make money, but building the brand value and building our fan base and showing, like, not literal value, but the fact that nails is now hot means every single time I do a bit of press, I get another suit emailing me, we really want to give you some money and own all your business for it. I'm like, it's fine, thanks. You know, just, it's given me more options to not take the money. And I think people right now are quite obsessed with taking investment. And what I love actually, because I was reading that, you know, that early stage, you don't want to give away your company because you don't even know what it's going to be yet. Like, you don't know how successful it's going to be. You don't know, like, you just don't know anything. I didn't know anything, and I opted to go it alone, which is, you know, like I said, it's possibly made my business go slower, but I'm cool with that. It meant when I got pregnant, I could just take a year out without anyone saying, when are you going back to work, because we need our money back. And it just gave me a lot of freedom. I think really weigh up your options before taking investment, because it's not always the best way.
And there's obviously a lot of people in the room today who are starting up the business right from scratch like you did. Have you got any advice for these people?
Just get on with it. I think if you're talking about it, it's like pointless. I always say, we are so fortunate. If everyone in this room has had the ability and access to come here today, we live in one of the best cities in the world, major city. There's so much money flowing around. There's so many consumers flowing around. Like, you can just go home and start your business. You can buy a URL and you can register your company and you have like the seed of something. I feel there are probably confidence issues mainly about actually getting on and doing it, and I've never lacked for confidence, I've got to say. You know, you just got to remind yourself that you're an amazing person capable of so much, and if you don't create your inner voice, because being an entrepreneur is a very lonely life. So you really have to cultivate that inner voice that you can do whatever you want, because that's sometimes the only voice you'll have, you know. There were plenty of times when I was in my salon in Dalston with the shutters closed, cleaning while I could hear all my mates going past on the streets of the clubs. So yeah, just my one advice is to get on with it and build your inner confidence to get your business moving.
You're clearly very determined, but is there anybody who's inspired you along the way to kind of get where you are now?
So many people have inspired me because I'm an avid reader. I read constantly, and I always have done since I was a kid, like anything from a science textbook to, you know, a crappy daily magazine. Like, I read a lot, and I like reading stories, like hearing people's stories, and especially business stories. And I've always admired people who have trod their own path. I admire people who demand independence, whether that's creatively or financially. I think in terms of business models, I often cite the 2 people, Martha Stewart and Oprah Winfrey, because what they did was really domesticize feminine areas and make them into very successful businesses. Because, like I said in the beginning, the thing with nails is, like, I come from a fashion and art background, which gets held up very loftily. But to a lot of people, it's not. And to a lot of people, fashion's frivolous. It wasn't, you know, fashion today is so different to how it was when I was 12, 13, when it was like this closed world that people thought was just all feathers and pink. And I always knew I wanted to work in fashion. I was always interested in the business side of fashion and everything outside of design. And I just I just remember that nails was really lowly regarded. Like nobody cared about nails. Even like you have art and you have fashion and then you have beauty, and at the bottom of beauty is nails. And I just think you have to really stick to your guns, because everything can be monetized, and everything female and feminine, if it comes natural to you, can be monetized. So nails, you know, just like Martha Stewart's home cooking and Oprah Winfrey's emotional confessional chat, these are things that were ridiculed, just like nails are ridiculed, but they're huge businesses. Nails is worth so much money now, and you know, I really help contribute to that rise in the thing, so I need to own it now. I need to take that money.
And what has been your favourite thing, or kind of like best memory of building up this business? Put you on the spot now.
I've got so many, I can't. Every day is so randomly different. There's so many more memories to create. Sorry to be cheesy. I don't know, just hearing kids talk about it and get excited. I think when I go into the salon and people don't know that I own it, and I hear like girls going, oh my God, I can't wait. Or I see like parents and families waiting for the one girl who's like come on holiday and she said, I've got to get my nails done at 1. The whole family's like waiting in their tourist coats and stuff. I just think that's cute every day. So,
would you like to be seen now as a role model for other people?
I think it's important for me to share my story. I feel obligated to do so because it is quite unusual. My attitude to it is unusual in that everyone does think I'm extremely determined and ambitious, but I just have a vision and I just want to complete it, like painting the wall, or do you know what I mean? It's like any other task to me. If I've thought it, I want to do it. I'm not like any means necessary to get there, and I'm very chilled about the whole situation, and I'm like easy come, easy go. If it works and it goes well, great. If it doesn't, I can do something else. Yeah. I'm 30. I could go to Jamaica and open a hotel. I could do anything, so yeah.
That's a great kind of, you know, lifestyle to live. Is there anybody else here who's got a question and that we can talk about and discuss? Yes? Do you want to keep it just at the back? We'll get a microphone.
I know you strongly spoke about not taking money from investors. Had your friend not borrowed you the money, what would you have done?
If my friend didn't borrow it, lend it to me even, you know what, I'm so bad. I never have plan Bs. I couldn't even tell you what I would have done. But I will tell you that 17,000 went immediately on the 3 months rent, 3 months deposit, and a few building materials to fix it up. It was so ramshackle, that initial salon. I can't even believe people liked it. So yeah, I would have done a few more jobs. Maybe I wouldn't have acted on it so immediately, because I did have the idea in December and I started work on it in January. Maybe I probably would have waited a little bit more until I'd made my money. Luckily, because I was a stylist, I got paid in huge chunks of money rather than a salary, so I didn't have to save, do you know what I mean? Everyone's path's different, that's just how my path turned out.
Any more questions yet?
How do you balance being a mum and a businesswoman?
Oh, with great difficulty. So my son's father didn't collect him yesterday, so this morning I had to get him ready, drop him off at my auntie's. I got a new phone which didn't switch on, so I couldn't get a taxi. I had to walk to my auntie's house, try and call a cab. The cabs were busy, I had to get the bus, I got on the train. Do you know what I mean? It's just, that's what it is, but it's like, that's what it is. And and then when I got into town, I had to go and get my phone fixed before making the train. I got on the wrong platform, all the dramas, you know? And I just think what's great about, I know I love being a woman, is you just get on with it and you have this like mum strength, and we're really, really like resilient. And I just take you know, imagine like walking down a street and everyone's throwing tomatoes at you, but you just keep your head up and keep walking. That's how I deal with it.
I love it. Yes, this here on the end, thank you.
I'm just wondering, you said you're not particularly good with financial side of things. So at what point did that come part of the business, and who supported you so that you've created something profitable?
I'm still kind of figuring that out. I had a really bad account. My two probably, not so good judgments were, two things I didn't have from day one, which I should have done, was a really good lawyer and a really good accountant. I would quite happily now have spent money that I spent adding glitter to the floor on my lawyer and the same for my accountant. I had like a really cheap accountant because I thought we can't really afford one, and he wasn't great. And then about 2 years ago I got an amazing one recommended by a friend. It's so hard to find these services. Like, you really do have to go by recommendations, and don't go by recommendations of your friends who are on the same level as you. Go by recommendations of people at the next stage up as to what the best lawyers and accountants and professional trademarking and all of that. Right now, like I said, I have a good accountant. I talk to him regularly, and as I move my business, we've just launched now products with Boots. They've just come out 2 months ago. And I'm in a position to talk into Boots about how they're going to support the infrastructure of my business, because, like I said, I don't really care for that side of it. So I am in the process of trying to find a CFO who I can talk to every single day. It's a long process. I've had my business for 5 years, and only now I'm just thinking about those things, like prioritise.
I've got time for one more question. Sorry.
Hi, I was really interested that you said, your attitude was that if this didn't work, I can do anything. Where did that come from? Do you think that's an upbringing? Were you born that way, or what would you attribute that attitude to?
I think about it a lot, actually. I'm a very self-reflective person. I'm always trying to be like the best person I could be. And I don't really know where it's come from, because my mum has never really worked. Ever. I come from a really massive, loving Jamaican family, like so many cousins. Everyone was great and loving, but I didn't have anyone pushing me. Like, I didn't have anyone like, have you even done your homework? I come from a single parent family too, one of 4, so it was a busy household. The attention wasn't like, you're the best, you can be the best. I went to a really good school, like a precursor to an academy. They were called City Technology Colleges, and that was an amazing school to kind of elevate my mindset, I guess. But I think really it's just an innate curiosity for the world and wanting to be part of it. Like, I would sit in my bedroom in Wolverhampton and I would open the pages of Vogue and I'd be like, I really want to be here, how am I going to be here? And then I'd just work backwards. But I don't know, really. I think about it a lot, because all my friends who want to start businesses and don't, that is probably the only difference between me and them, because I don't have any more experience than them, I don't have any more money than them, but the only thing I have that they don't is like, well, obviously I can do it. Like, why wouldn't I? I had no idea. It's complete naivety as well when I opened the salon, because I had no idea what I was doing, and I just carried on like I did, and now I do.
Well, Sharmadean, you're so interesting. We're going to give you a couple more questions. So, is there anyone at the back? Yes, we'll be able to get a microphone. Just in the middle, on the right. Thank you.
Hi. I wanted to say, Ra's like very original. Like, how did you stick to what you wanted it to represent? Like, the customer.
Well, I just did, because I didn't take anyone else's money. That's the main reason why I can keep it what it is. And even now with Boots, I'm actually really surprised that they've let me do everything I want to do. Not once has anyone from Boots said, oh, we think that's too edgy or too street or too East London. Like, they've just let me get on with it. But I don't think they would have let me if I hadn't, like I said, built the value in my brand so that I have the power to walk into that room and be like, this is what I think's cool and this is what I think's going to sell, and they trust me. So, you know, when you're a newbie starting out, if you're constantly having meetings, because the meetings of the investors is like another job. That's like trying to raise money for your business is a full-time job as well as trying to run your business. So I think, you know, the time that you spend trying to do that, if you don't necessarily need that, you could spend building value in, you know, your cultural resonance so that you have the power to make those decisions yourself.
Hi, my name is Camila. I want to just have another question. What you said is a really lonely journey, because sometimes I have the impressions that starting your own business is like nobody understands. Your family is like, okay, where are you going to have a real job? And the partner is just like, okay, why you are checking mail in, I know, and 3 in the morning. So yeah, how you handle it? Because sometimes you're just not only against the people who are saying, oh, this is not going to work, but also from the pressure from the people around, like, what you're going to do is going to be successful. This is like, I'm wondering how you manage the stress of that.
Well, you just don't listen to them. It's quite simple. My thing is, right, and I've had this for quite a long time, and I had it even more so when I had a baby, because I was all like natural, hippie. I don't want anyone stressful around me because stress creates hormones that are going to affect my child. So I just have this like mechanism that if something is not good for me or causing me tension, I cut it out of my life. It's as simple as that. Like, I don't hang around friends who are negative. If anyone's moaning around me, I don't hang around with them because I don't want that energy on me. I don't want to be put into that mindset. If people come to me needing, you know, help, it's a different thing. But if they're just sitting around moaning or complaining or doing nothing that is constructive to your well-being or your business, like your mental well-being, then cut it out. If your family are moaning, which I know, I have a lot of Nigerian friends, and this is common. When are you going to get a real job? Why are you not a doctor or a lawyer yet? Why are you doing beauty or starting your own business? You know, and they, you know, what you have to do is just explain to them. And with family, it's different because you can't go and do it. I just sit them down and say quite simply, this is what I really believe in right now. This is the path that I've chosen, and you're either with me on the path or you're not with me. And if you're not, I don't want to hear about it. Simple. And then everyone else checking your emails at 3 a.m. with your partner, you're like, dude, I'm trying to build my business and contribute my share to this household, so let me do it. This is how I'm going to contribute my share to this family. Is that all right? I'm a bit like, I'm not cold, but I'm just life's too short to have these are minute problems. There are like that problem of people telling you you can't do it. I'm just like, all right, see you later. Right.